Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seated. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Marna Smith. Here. Thorne Peterson.
Here.
Chuck Schultz.
Here.
Mike Cunningham.
Here.
David Walker absent. And Cam Gonzalez absent. Marcy Houston present.
Okay, at this time, we will recess our regular board meeting for August 4th, and we will start with a public hearing. So I will need a roll call vote to recess the meeting.
Okay. Mike Cunningham.
Yes.
Marna Smith. Yes. Thorne Peterson.
Yes.
Chuck Schultz.
Yes.
Marcy Houston, yes.
What's yours?
We're going to discuss Shannon Glen first. I know this agenda says Great Oaks, but we're going to start with Shannon Glen. So the purpose... I'll try to talk into this. I don't have a loud voice. I don't have the speakers on.
Technical difficulties.
It's these elections.
Does it need a battery?
The batteries are really expensive.
There.
There we go.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So the purpose of the first public hearing is to review the proposed rule pertaining to the Shannon Glen Waste Collection 2016 Special Assessment District. So we had petitions circulated in the Shannon Glen subdivision for the establishment of a single waste hauler, and we got the required over 51% of the residents in support of it. And Keith Kramer, he's not here tonight, but he's the one who was spearheading this process and got the petitions in, and he was in contact with some of the waste companies, and the one that he is proposing is Republic, because they are willing to give him, or you who live in that area, the same price that they're giving the Jane Hill subdivision, who also has a contract with Republic. I can tell you that the cost is $12.38 a month, and that includes the two big blue bins. I don't know if you're familiar with the bins that City of Fenton has. One would be recycling and one would be for waste, and recycling would be done every other week. And like I said, the first year it would be $12.38 a month with up to a 3% increase each year after that. He's proposing this to be in effect for 10 years. At this point, does anybody have any, I know we've already talked prior to the meeting about possibly having some other companies give bids, and at this point, does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Question, if you do 3% annual, 30% over $500, well, wouldn't quite double your thing at the end of the 10-year period. Lockage to put on that 3%?
No, well, Keith calculated this out at 3%. In year one, it would be $12.38 a month. In year 10, it would be $16.86 a month. I mean, going out 10 years, it's really hard to lock them in because we don't know what the fuel prices are going to be over that long of a term.
What's the option of
Usually, the contracts that they enter in, they're not 10-year contracts, they're for 3 years. And I want to say that
There usually are opt-outs with those contracts.
right, And I was just wondering if there was anything, I don't have anything here, but it seems like if there's notice given, enough notice giving that either they can cancel out the contract or you would have the right to cancel the contract if you weren't happy with their services.
But that would come from homeowners association,
Mhm.
50% of
Right, and it's going to be the homeowners association that's going to enter into the contract with the waste company. It's not the township that'll be entering into that, so it would really be up to, if you're not happy with them, to work with them. If they're not going to provide you with the service you want, then you may want to terminate.
Okay, would the homeowners have to purchase these large?
Well, what they did with Jane Hill was, once the contract was signed, then they said that they would bring out the bins and deliver them. So we're not under the new contract with them at this point, because their contract doesn't expire currently until the end of March of next year.
Yeah, I just bought one of these large bins a year ago. I talked to Republic already, they were.
That, I don't know. That you might want to talk to Republic and find out if they're going to require that you take those bins and you use the bins that they provide, or if they'll let you use your own. I don't know the answer to
I
that.
showed them my bin, and the guy in the truck from Republic said, no, that won't fit.
Okay,
Bins on certain size.
okay.
So I'll call Republic.
Yeah, and I don't know whether they have to be that blue color. I don't know if they have requirements. That I can't tell you.
Do you have any other comments regarding Shannon Glen? Okay. Next, we'll move on to the review of the proposal role of the Green Oak Road Maintenance Special Assessment District.
Great Oak.
Great Oak, I'm sorry.
Okay. And the purpose of this public hearing is to review the proposed rule pertaining to the Great Oaks Road Maintenance Special Assessment District. And this is basically a continuation. The current contract has been in effect for 5 years, and it's due to expire the end of March of next year. And it's going to provide road grading and 50 tons of gravel to be applied to the road in the spring, and then it will also cover the snow plowing for the winter. And it's proposed that this contract, or that this special assessment be in effect for the next 10 years. And the main reason is because it's costly to go through this process, because there's advertising, we have to post it in the newspaper, we have to send out notices to the affected residents. So rather than do this again in 5 years, the proposal is to do this for the next 10 years. And we have a bid from Shoemakers. Karen has been working very hard trying to get bids, and has only been successful in getting bids from Shoemakers to apply the gravel and do the grading, and then they also do the snow plowing. And that's the company that you've been working with for the past 5 years, 4.5 years anyway. And she's trying to cut down on the costs for the road grading, because over the past few years there's been gravel that's been applied, so you have a nice base at this point. So the hope is that only one time a year will be sufficient. No. Okay, well, does anyone have any?
I do. I think that the gravel once a year is fine. But I signed the petition because I do want the road maintenance agreement to continue.
Mhm.
But I think just grading it once a year for 10 years, we're locked in for 10 years. We're asking for trouble. I think we should at least get a grading, not gravel in the
Okay.
fall, rather than just depending on the spring grading to carry us through the year.
Okay.
By October, the roads are pretty bad.
I don't know, did they give you any kind of an idea what it cost just to do the road grading without applying gravel?
No.
Okay, so that might be something that you could follow up and find out if they were to just do the grading in the fall without applying gravel, what the cost.
We do have a great base. I mean, after
Okay.
5 years of applying the gravel twice a year, we have a great
Mhm.
base. But it's in everybody's yards a month
True.
after it's down. So
Okay.
it just needs to be, pushed back and moved around, and the gradings we're getting really they aren't gradings.
Don't have
What
a
is
bulldozer
spreading?
or a
It's just
road
spreading,
grader.
isn't it?
They just backbladed, and you still have the whoopie-doos, and pothole, it gets filled in with loose fill.
Okay.
The first time it rains or whatever, then it starts washing out right away. All that doesn't have that type of equipment. Backblades it, and
Which is still a lot better than it
Oh,
was.
the
I
road is-
mean,
Right.
it's great now, and I hate to see it go back to what it was, especially with only one grading. I mean, what we're saving by not doing this extra grading and gravel, to me, is $60 a year. It's not worth letting the road deteriorate.
Right, because the prior contract, it was $1,100 in the spring and $1,100 in the fall, and I think they were applying, were they doing 25 ton in the spring and then in the fall as well, or were they doing 50 at each time? So I'm not sure why the price went up to $2,050 for one application and one grading that's basically the same as what you've been getting. So I thought that there might have been more gravel that they were applying. Okay, so that's,
I noticed that doesn't make
Okay.
sense.
no, and I wonder if they maybe gave you the bid thinking they were going to do it twice, but they didn't write it up that way. Yeah, that might be a good idea, because if that's a price for spring and fall, then that's better than what you're paying already, so.
Well, I remember the first time that we did this was during a big economic downturn, and they were looking for work. Now, they're not looking for
Well,
work,
that's
so.
why maybe we should actually put it out for real bids again. We did 5 years ago, Keith put it out and had people actually bid on it, instead of just having Karen do the groundwork, which is a lot to ask of Karen.
Right, but,
Looking for people to do this.
yeah, and I was advised by legal counsel that we're not supposed to be entering into the contracts, and that's why I had to put it back on Karen. I'm sorry I had to do that, and she worked really hard. I know she contacted several other companies, even companies that had given us bids in the past, and they never responded.
All the people from 5 years ago that gave me bids, plus I had some extra ones that came along later that found out about it too late. So I took their information and I did call each one of them.
Yeah, but that,
And I told them, and I sent each one of them the new contract and to bid on it. And I even called them back 2 weeks later to let them know that, if you're going to bid on it, to bring it in, or, whatever. And so nobody got back with me except for Shima.
Do you guys have a scope of work written for these bids? Like, this is what you're looking for, is a
Yes.
grading, so many
Yeah,
gradings
the
and
whole
everything
detail
else like
is
that?
on it, Yes.
Keith worked with us 5 years ago to get the initial one done. And I guess in his whatever subdivision, I can't think of the name. Park and Lane, he was kind of working with the people they had used over there to help do Great Oaks Drive. And I think that's where we initially came up with Shoemakers. It was hard then.
It was, I think a lot of these people, they don't have the equipment that I'm looking for. And they're already so busy that there's no way that they could even do our work, is what I'm
Yeah.
recognizing,
Yeah.
is the problem.
20 years ago, there were several excavating companies, and there were several
Right.
engineering firms, and in 2008, a lot of them went away.
Yeah,
And now, the work is there, they don't have enough people to
yeah,
cover all the work.
that's right. They're overworked.
And this is a small job for them.
probably.
It just,
Probably not worth their time, so.
Yeah.
Is it a half hour?
a half mile. No, it's not a
Well, we
lot.
have a great base, we really do.
It was 100.
There's only,
you know,
what,
for the
16
year, but now
homes
we're down
out,
to
so it
50.
doesn't get as much traffic. You know. It's a dead end, so.
Yeah, I pursued everybody, I called them back, I did everything I could, but,
So, yeah, we appreciate that, because I know. started
and
it 5
I'm really
years ago.
trying to keep the cost down as much as possible. That was it. So it's up to you guys.
So there's nothing more than that we don't have any options of having people.
Oh,
like
yes.
Like they had Republic come in, or they got bids.
Oh, no, you are,
But I mean,
you,
the township wouldn't work with that.
well, the problem, no, they don't, we're not supposed to be entering into these contracts. And if I put it out for bid, keep in mind, that's going to increase your administrative costs, because if I put it in the paper, I could do that, but you also have to pay for that ad that I put out there. So just keep that in mind, that it would add some additional administrative costs.
There wouldn't be any cost associated with asking for an additional grading, would it?
No,
Yeah, so we could look at it, yeah. Okay,
okay. Okay,
sure. Any other comments? All right, well, thank you. All right, so at this time, I'd like to close our public hearing and reconvene our regular township board meeting. Do we have any changes to the agenda, other than the two that I have? Okay, so for item number 7 under new business, I would like to request to add 2 data drops. We're going to add item number 8 as well, request to use alternate law firm, Grand, Lukow, and Miller. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the agenda as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay. Agenda is approved. Approval of the consent agenda, the regular board meeting minutes from July 19th, 2016, and the clerk's warrants and bills.
So moved. Support.
It's been motioned and supported to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next, communications, items 1 through 5. Item 1, zoning administrator's report from July 25th, 2016. The planning commission special meeting synopsis, July 12th, 2016. Item number 3, the planning commission special meeting minutes from June 28th, 2016. Item number 4, AT&T Michigan annual video report from July 15, 2016. And item number 5, Heartland Senior Activity Center Annual Report from July 14, 2016.
Move to place communications 1 through 5 on file.
Support.
Been motioned and supported to place communications 1 through 5 on file. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Next, public remarks. Opportunity for the public to make any comments other than the public hearing? Okay, since we have none, then we'll go ahead and we'll start with unfinished business. Item number 1, which is request to amend the open burning ordinance number 44. I was having some conversation with Marion about our burn ordinance, and it was discussion regarding transferring a current burn permit to a new owner of a property. And if you read it one way, it kind of sounds like it goes with the property, and it does. But then if you read it another way, it wasn't clear. So I propose that we add a section 10.9 to it that basically says, a valid permit exists and the property is sold or transferred, the permit will stay with the property until the expiration date. It is the responsibility of the new owner to have the valid permit reissued in the new owner's name and to be provided with a set of current burn rules and regulations.
So you're having the homeowner's name
Right. So let's say.
approved, and
Sure.
then the new homeowner's name added.
Correct. So I buy a piece of property from you. There's a burn permit that's been paid for a year because they're valid for 1 year. I have to come down to the township and say, I'm the new property owner. My name's Mike
Must be
Cunningham.
amended.
We just change the name, reprint it, and get a copy of the burn rules, and they're down the road.
Could we change the word reissued to amended in the new owner's name?
We absolutely,
Valid
we'll stay with the
permit
property.
amended.
Reissued in the new owner's name? We have to reissue the permit.
Have to amend the permit.
Yeah, we would be amending it. We're not issuing
Amend.
it again.
Yeah, you're not putting
You're
a whole new
amending
permit
what's
out
on there. You're
You can do
amending the
that.
name. Yeah.
Got the valid, amended. Amended. No problem.
Okay.
That's why we have 7 people here. Well, 5 tonight, but.
I would move that we reword section 10.9,
It's actually an inclusion.
or you're adding.
We're adding section 10.9.
I would move to add section 10.9 to the burn permit ordinance.
As
The
amended.
open burn ordinance as amended.
It's a resolution too.
Sorry?
It's a resolution too.
Okay.
I will support that.
Okay. It's been resolved
Oh, it is a resolution.
and motioned to amend the burn ordinance to include section 10.9. Any further discussion?
As amended.
Yeah, so can we finish the vote and then you can ask a question? Okay. Any further discussion?
That should be as amended.
As amended, yes.
Yeah.
Roll call vote, please.
Soren Peterson,
Yes.
Chuck Schultz,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham.
Yes.
Marna Smith,
Yes.
Marcy Houston, yes. Cam Gonzalez, and David Walker, absent.
Yes. You got a question?
My question was, for that inclusion,
It's, burn permits are only a calendar year anyways. So if there's already one issued for the property, it's with the parcel number.
right, but
So it's,
it was my understanding that it was up to the new property owner
Sure.
to have that, and that just with the new issue for the end
It's
of
to
the year,
get-
or
Right. So
within that
you
year
have
to
1
get it in
year.
their
So
name.
before they burn, they have to have it in their name.
And then not only that, it has to be in the new owner's name. The reason that is because we know that they know
The rules.
the rules.
Right.
You know, if they don't ever change it, the permit is technically bad because it's a non-compliant permit, because it's not in their name. So if somebody changes the property ownership, say I sell my property to Mike and Mike just comes in here, I got a burn permit, you're good to the end of the year, and he doesn't do anything, ignorance still doesn't
Right.
play. He still has to amend that permit in his name saying, yes, I will comply with the township ordinance on open burning.
got all that, I was just
Yeah.
wondering, is the new property owner going to have any kind of a limited timeframe or?
It would be before they burn.
Well,
Yeah.
it's, the norm is most people, the homeowner is responsible to turn in their transfer paperwork to the assessor's office. And when that is done, we provide information on the township. We will highly recommend a burn permit. We go through the school systems. So it's sort of a process. The homeowner is to come to the township or notify the township that they are the new owner of the parcel.
Right.
And once they do that, then we sort of give them the spiel of, these are the things you need to do. You need to be aware we have a burn ordinance. You
Right.
need to have a permit.
When
And,
I was a new property owner in this area, I had any of that information.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
To it over the years.
yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I think the transfer
Changed
affidavits.
a little bit down here, we kind of evolved a little.
Yeah, but you know, honestly, the title companies used to do all that work, and now they've put the
Sure.
responsibility back onto the homeowner now.
Yeah, so we'll
That
get,
They
yeah,
have to turn in the paperwork, it's that homeowner's responsibility.
yeah, we'll get a resident, they'll come in and they'll hand in their PRE, and then we hand them a welcome to the township packet, explains all the things that you're supposed to do, and
The departments
Yeah.
are hours,
the-
contact
the-
names.
the treasurer's office and the cashier, they do a fantastic job letting people know what's going on, what we have, and, you know, who the electrical company is, who the, you know, trash trucks are, you know, make sure you get a burn permit. If you have a burn permit, we'll reissue the permit in your name and amend.
Yes,
So, yeah.
And we have a newsletter too
yeah.
that also has that information
And the
in
key
it.
thing is the objective here is to get the new property owner to understand the burn regulations in the township. And technically, I think if they burn and they burn, you know, the permit's valid for the property. It's if they violate the ordinance and they get caught, then they're gonna have to pay the fire run. So, that's what we're trying to do.
What is it that you can, for the people have these little furnaces? Little
Right.
pots that they throw a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Is that part of that?
That's not
Sure.
an open burn if
Yeah.
it's got a cage on it, though.
Yeah, and we actually have the whole ordinance of what you can, what time of the year you can burn, and what you can't burn. It's on our website at TyroneTownship.us if you want to take a look at it, so.
And to answer that, that's not, if it's a little fire pit with a little cage on it, that's not technically an open burn, that's
If it's
in a
portable,
fireplace.
it's defined that if it's portable, there's only like 2 or 3 exceptions, and it's
It's like a gas
the
grill, a charcoal
chimeneas,
grill, a chimenea.
and then the portable ones are exempt.
Like a fire pot, they just.
Mhm.
a couple pieces of wood.
Right,
Right.
yeah, if that's a portable device, then it would be exempt. Yeah.
Okay. So we are moving on to unfinished business, request to adopt employee handbook revisions.
And I put that in here this afternoon, the latest revision, so I'm sorry you didn't have a chance to really look at it.
So it's all in the red.
We can go over it, it's really not a,
No, there's only a few things.
So these are only just the pages that have the changes?
Correct.
Okay.
That's this piece right here that was on the table?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
this is as a result of some of the work that we're doing with our employee focus group. Personnel committee right here.
Okay.
Was the first one, personnel committee.
Okay. Under page 4, under Personnel Committee, there are just a couple small changes that we want employee complaints submitted within 10 calendar days instead of within 7 days as originally stated. And then we also changed appeals, unless the employee appeals the Personnel Committee's decision to the Township Board in writing within 21 calendar days instead of 14, just to give employees a little bit more time. If they do have a complaint, just a little bit more time
The board to
get
react
it
to it.
right.
Yeah. And it's being consistent with the calendar days, because one was days and one was calendar.
Right, so there was
Okay.
confusion, is it 7 business days, is it 7 calendar days?
Okay.
And then the next one's on page 6, election workers.
This, on page 6, election workers, sometimes we have employees who want to work as an election official, and there was some questions about how do we pay them, and we found out that if they work as an election inspector, that they have to be paid the same rate that the other election inspectors are paid, rather than their hourly rate, unless it's part of their normal job duties. We have an election coordinator and our deputy clerk. The elections is expected, it is part of their job duties, so they're not working as inspectors. But if we have employees who want to work as an inspector, they can't get paid their hourly rate and get overtime. So that was what that change was.
Okay. And this is an actual whole addition, because this wasn't even covered before.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And then we had a section on that same page entitled Inclement Weather. We changed that title to Office Closures, and we struck out the section, whether or not employees shall be paid for the time the offices are closed. Let me just read that. If it becomes necessary to close the township offices due to conditions beyond our control, the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer shall determine if the offices will close, the duration of the closing.
Probably strike that and period.
Right. And just strike the and.
Mm-hmm.
And then down further, we added a full-time employee comes to work and has not been notified of the office closure prior to the posted time, and the office closes prior to 1 o'clock, the employee will be paid for 4 hours of work. If the office closed after 1 p.m., the employee will be paid for 8 hours of work. We changed that part to cover full-time employees, and then we added, if a part-time employee comes to work and has not been notified of the office closure prior to the posted start time, and the office closes prior to 1 p.m., the employee will be paid for 3 hours of work. If the office is closed after 1 p.m., the employee will be paid for 6 hours of work. And that's because our part-time employees, on average, work 6 hours a day. And then we added inclement weather pay. Each employee will be granted 24 hours of inclement weather pay for each fiscal year. To be eligible for inclement weather pay, you must be scheduled to work that day.
Okay. That'll be helpful going into the next season here, having that in there.
Then on page 8, under health insurance, it originally said that eligible employees it would be the first of the month following 60. They would have been eligible for health insurance the first of the month following their 60 days here. But in actuality, Blue Cross won't cover them until they've been here 90 days. It becomes effective on the 91st day. So that was why that change was there. Not because we changed the policy, but that is what Blue Cross is doing for the employees.
Now we're moving on to vacation.
Vacation, basically, I'm not going to read all the changes here, but what we've discussed is that instead of awarding vacation time at the beginning of a fiscal year, we're going to use the employee's date of hire and calculate vacation time based on their date of hire. So after their first year, they would still have no vacation time, but the beginning of their second and third years, they would have 5 8-hour days. So for example, we have an employee that has a hire date of June 30th. Instead of having to wait, it was kind of a complicated
What it was is they were getting a
calculation.
proration on that. So if they started 3 months late, they would only get, instead of the 5 days, they'd get 3/4 of a year. So it became convoluted in calculating it. So the industry standard is after you're there for a year, you get a year's vacation. So we figured that we'd
Yeah.
standardize it because it was convoluted and it confused a lot of people. So we're just.
Well, always trying to base it on our fiscal year was hard when you have a certain hire date. We have this crazy formula to try to figure that proration out. Everyone was confused by it. No one could understand it. It's like you had to get this formulated calculator out to figure it out. So basing on the focus group input and then looking at what was the repercussions if we were to change it by a start date, well, there was no negative impact to anybody. It was more of a positive impact if we were to put this in place. I think there was 2 employees that kind of get a positive impact from this. But I think overall, most everybody appreciates this new way by their higher start date, and it's actually easier for management to calculate by your start date. More streamlined.
I had one more over here.
Oh, this is just that, basically vacation time, if you don't take it within the year that it's granted, then you'll get paid off. So you have 1 year from the date it's granted to use it, or we'll pay you off in your paycheck. You can't carry it over. That's basically what that paragraph is saying.
And we also changed the word for requesting vacation to your immediate supervisor.
Right.
So Terry would ask her supervisor, and whoever would ask their supervisor, so they know what's going on in their departments. Any comments, questions?
Everybody happy?
Yeah, I think that was the consensus after we had our discussion, our focus group. In fact, we actually had at least one of the employees look at it just to make sure that it made sense to them so that they could understand it, and I think we got a blessing on it, so I don't see...
And it makes management happy, that nothing's,
Yeah, these
everybody's
were our
good to go.
positives, and then a couple of them are we need to do now anyways, so that they make things, well, the health insurance one had to be done.
Right.
And then I think for the winter weather coming up soon, that'll be helpful, having that one in
Right.
place. But, yeah, these were all some pretty good positive changes.
Well, then I move to amend it. As written.
Actually, there was an addition, so...
Or,
Oh.
so.
There was a word that was taken out, so
Election workers is all added.
it would be the proposed changes as amended.
There you go. What you said.
Did you support, Soren? Did you
Okay.
support? Okay.
So it's been motioned and seconded to adopt the handbook changes as amended. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying, wait, this is not a resolution, is it?
No.
No, it's not.
Policy.
It's just policy. So all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Now we're going to get on to new business. Item number 1, resolution to prepare the special assessment roll for the Shannon Glen Waste Collection Project.
Okay. So the first resolution is approving the project details and directing the preparation of the special assessment roll for Shannon Glen subdivision waste removal project. So it's,
Would this be affected in any way if they were to entertain a proposal from Dougie's?
I don't think so.
no, we'll still go ahead and move forward with it.
This is just indicating which parcels are affected in it, correct?
Right.
This isn't going ahead and locking in any prices, and
No.
if they're still looking for prices.
Yes, yeah, we're not at that point yet.
Well, so resolve.
Support?
Been resolved and supported to prepare the special assessment roll for Shannon Glen Waste Collection Project. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Marta Smith,
Yes.
Soren Peterson,
Yes.
Chuck Schultz,
Yes.
Mike Cunningham.
Yes.
Marcy Husted, yes. And Cam Gonzalez and David Walker absent.
Been resolved. So item number 2 is resolution to schedule and issue notices of the second public hearing for Shannon Glen Waste Collection Project.
So basically, what this resolution is authorizing us to do is to send out the notices to all of the residents affected as part of the special assessment district, notifying them that there will be another public hearing, and that will be held on
August 16th. It's at the bottom of the first
August
page.
16th, okay, our next meeting. And then it also authorizes the township to publish in the local newspaper the public hearings.
So resolved.
Support.
It's been resolved and supported to schedule and issue notices of the second public hearing for the Shannon Glen Waste Collection Project. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mike Cunningham?
Yes.
Marna Smith?
Yes.
Chuck Schultz?
Yes.
Soren Peterson? Marcy Husted, yes. And Cam Gonzalez and David Walker absent.
And that's been resolved. Next is item number 3, resolution to prepare the special assessment roll for the Great Oak Drive Seasonal Road Maintenance Project.
So just as we just did with the last one, it's just the resolution approving the project details and directing the preparation of the special assessment roll for Great Oaks Drive seasonal road maintenance.
So moved.
Support.
Or so resolved. Okay.
It's been resolved and supported to schedule and issue notices of the second public hearing. I'm sorry. It's been resolved and supported to prepare the special assessment roll for the Great Oak Drive Seasonal Road Maintenance Project. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote on that too, please?
Soren Peterson?
Yes.
Chuck Schultz?
Yes.
Mike Cunningham? Marna Smith?
Yes.
Marcy Husted, yes. And Cam Gonzalez, David Walker absent. Do I have to say that every time?
You should, for the
Okay,
record.
all right.
Yeah.
Just because there's a digital recording, if it never needed to be transcribed or whatever, we'd have it, so.
Okay.
Okay. Item number 4 is a resolution to schedule and issue notices of the second public hearing for Great Oaks Drive Seasonal Road Maintenance Project.
And this is just directing the township clerk to mail out by first class mail a notice to all of the residents in the special assessment district, notifying them that there will be another public hearing on August 16th, and also directing the clerk to publish in the local newspaper the public hearing date.
So resolved.
Second. I support it.
It's been resolved and supported to schedule and issue notices of the second public hearing for Great Oaks Drive Seasonal Road Maintenance Project. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, may I have the last roll call vote of the night?
Marna Smith?
Yes.
Mike Cunningham?
Yes.
Soren Peterson?
Yes.
Chuck Schultz?
Yes.
Marcy Husted, yes. Cam Gonzalez and David Walker absent.
That's been resolved. Next is item number 5, request to purchase 2 computers for the township office. You want to pull that quote up? I can go ahead and talk to this. Every year we budget for technology upgrades, and we have one computer that's extremely old, and the operating system and the office suite is approximately, 9 years old, so it needs to be replaced so it can run with the other ones. And then we have another one that's not quite as old, but it needs to be replaced. So what we do is we try to buy, 2 computers every year and rotate out our old ones to stay up with, the technology needs and make sure that they work. So we have a quote for one of them. It's a mid-range tower, and it has Microsoft Office 2016. This one that is currently on there, I believe, is 2005, 2007. So it needed to be upgraded. So we would $979 times 2 for the 2 computers.
Okay.
And it's in the budget,
It's in the budget.
plan for it, so when I will move that we go ahead with the purchase.
I support.
Okay, it's been motioned and supported to purchase 2 new computers for the township offices. Any further discussion?
Are there any particular departments to designate these two to? Or-
One is going to go on the deputy supervisor's desk where Nikki is currently working.
Okay.
And I believe Lori is going to get the other one.
Okay.
And that's in the back end of the
In the
building as
back
well.
there.
So-
Okay. All right, zoning.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Next is discussion regarding a possible millage for future road repairs. I get these calls, and, you know, we did a survey of our township that we sent out, and it was kind of a mixed bag whether it would be supported or not. Had a resident call and say, you know, he was almost killed on Denton Hill Road, you know, swerving to avoid a pothole, and he asked if the board would discuss it. And I said, we can always discuss it. So, you know, is this something that the township would be interested, or the board would be interested in pursuing? You know, looking at possibilities. I'm not saying that we're committing to anything tonight, but, you know, look and maybe get some more public feedback. We could do things like set up some focus groups, or whatever. But I think that, you know, I think a lot of this too is spurred by Green Oak Township did it, and it's been very
Heartland.
successful. Then Heartland followed
Heartland
that
just did
model,
it.
very similar, and did quite well. And a lot of residents have made a lot of good positive comments and feedback about it. So I don't know if that's something that we are interested in doing at this time, or if it's something that we want to hold off on, or is it something that we'd like to look into a little bit further?
There was an actual, wasn't there at one point a ballot question that had road, or was it the garbage? It was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
And
And I don't think it passed, obviously,
No,
because.
it didn't, and, you know,
Yeah.
there's always that possibility. Our voters will ultimately tell us what they want us to do.
Right.
But, I mean, is it, you know, us to look into it a little bit more?
I don't think it hurts.
Don't have time to put it on any ballot coming up.
Oh,
No,
this-
no.
The way I think
Future.
this would work is obviously we would have to create,
During a school election.
we'd have to divide the township up in sections. We'd have to have a couple representatives from each section define what in their section would need to be addressed
do a
as far
committee.
as like gravel
committee.
or
Yeah.
pavement repair or whatever, and then come together as a committee and prioritize this. And then we would have to figure out, all right, these are the roads that we want to look at in these sections. Then we'd have to probably get estimates to figure out how much it would be, and then we'd have to figure out how much an assessment would be. We'd also probably want to look at, you know, if this is a 10-year or 20-year assessment, what would construction costs be, let's say in year 10, as opposed to would it be feasible to go out for bond and save construction costs, fuel costs, whatever down the road. There's so many variables with this, but I don't think it's something that would happen, you know, this year or possibly even next year. It'd take some time.
Well, there's definitely, and that's the other thing too, if people are looking for a quick fix, because, I mean, there are roads out here that are, I mean, they're lane changers. I mean, and it is a problem. It's becoming a big problem because now the county level's not
Right.
putting a whole lot towards this. But just because we put a millage out there, these things aren't gonna be fixed tomorrow either.
No,
And
because there's project schedules.
And then,
Yeah.
with that being said, I think we need to telegraph this a lot on our, ask for some feedback on the website and everything else, just somehow get feedback from people maybe in the next few months, because there's no way to put it on an election anyway until,
Right.
how long from now? What, I mean,
Could be
We're
a
talking-
while.
It would
at
be,
least,
I would
maybe
probably say at
possibly up
least
to a year from now.
Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of legwork and groundwork that needs to
To
be done.
get, to put on
So-
the ballot. And there's always,
I'm
then
always,
you gotta determine cost. How much does it cost to have
And it's even
an
feasible to go
election?
forward once that.
and, well, I think a committee would be good to possibly be thinking about, throw it out there, maybe on the website, maybe in the next month, we'll look at assembling a committee to fact find, just to see if it's something that,
Well, and you have two townships that have started it recently. They can at least access information from that.
If you don't mind, I'll consult with our townships to the south, see kind of what they did, and then bring that information back and we can talk about it a little bit more.
A lot of people they don't like to see these things on the voting, so if we get this millage thing associated with roads and making it better, if it ends up being a feasible thing, that's,
Right,
because as soon as somebody sees raising taxes, they're gonna wanna
know.
shoot it down.
yeah.
So we gotta make it known that, hey, we're thinking of this millage, we're exploring opportunities, we're trying to figure this thing out as much as we can, because we have no help from the top side, county and up.
I'm kind of curious if there's more and more townships that have passed a millage, is that going to be providing more funds available for those that don't have the millage?
Well, that could be it too, but here's the thing, it could be setting a precedence for the county not to be doing anything.
Yeah, but I mean, if you say Heartland and Green Oak are now, taxpayers are paying for it, is that more money in the fund for the ones that we're done, that we don't have
If I
the
was on the
money?
township and I put a significant amount of taxpayer money into improving our roads, I would definitely be seeking my fair share of money
Yeah.
for maintenance, for chip seals,
Right.
crack seals, and
The
Yeah.
determining factor for me is that, now it seems that every year I've spent on my wife's vehicle probably $1,500 in suspension repairs.
Yeah, and that's a common, people say that all the time, what their repair bills are for
I
their
mean,
vehicles.
would it add $50 to my tax roll every year to
And then
help prevent that?
save you
or take a
$50 on
big chunk of that
maintenance?
off? I mean,
Right.
I'm not one for taxes, but if it starts making dollars and cents that way,
Yeah.
sometimes,
yeah, I'm not proposing anything. I'm just having a discussion
Yep.
on, should we look at this? Is it something that?
Well, let's
is-
form,
something to
see if we
look
can
at.
get enough residents that are willing to be on a committee to put time and effort towards it.
I think maybe you ought to look towards encompassing all the citizens, have a discussion in the newspaper maybe about, we're looking for people to participate,
Yeah,
and
I think we
not
could
project
possibly-
anything
sure.
quick, but over the next year or so that we're going to study the program so we can
right.
do something constructive.
there's a luxury of time in looking, so we may as well look.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
into
Yeah, I
it.
mean,
Doesn't hurt.
I had a resident ask if we would discuss it. I said we'd discuss it, and, let's see what it comes about. So I think we could probably do some type of communication. I don't know if we could do like a Survey Monkey or something, or some sort of survey through our website that would be, just to get some initial feedback as to, is this even an option? Was it something that you would consider as a resident? And if not, then we'll shut it down.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'll talk to the following townships and kind of see what approach they took and, what they did, and look at it from there. Okay.
I want to ask, to say something. These safety items, it's not like threatening her person, as an issue. Anyone that would evaluate a pothole or a big. And also, if you want to ask. Safety area, might be part of your,
The study.
your, whatever you need on your
Sure.
action plan.
Right.
Yeah, I've done a lot of enforcement. I've been around this township, pretty much for the last, 6 years. I got a general idea of what I think our residents are going to tell us. We've done some discussion and some prioritization too, as far as the township and what we can fix and repair. But yeah, I think honing into those little, sectioning it off and letting those residents do that is going to be crucial as well. So I think all those things have a factor. But yeah, thanks for your comment.
Yeah, issues or concern.
Sure.
Maybe those people.
Yeah, I would probably want to look at doing something like a committee with subcommittees, so they can all go do their fact-finding, come together, and have a group discussion. Would probably work, yep. Thank you.
It might also behoove us to include such as contractors that might work on that stuff, because they might have some different suggestions of road improvements than we might.
Sure. Okay. All right, so I think we got a little bit of direction with that, so, next is item number 7, is a request to add 2 data drops. We added in a new, copier, so it required a data drop, which took a data drop away from one of our workstations. So we need to have at least one put in. So I said, you know what, while we have them out here, let's have them run an additional data drop. So we're thinking a little bit ahead of the game and, you know, maximizing our service call. The quote that I have for that is
Oh, you got one.
for $602. That's the Cat 6 cable that we're using, the wall jacks, the wall plates, the installation, the labor, and everything. So, you know, to run it from the center of the township to the back, I think it's a fair quote. There weren't too many people that were available to give us a quote. This came actually recommended through Heartland Electric. So,
Would this be coming out of the PEG?
No,
no, this would come out of our
tech
fund, which we still have plenty of money budgeted for.
Yeah. We would be within this year's budget amount. Yeah.
Currently, we're rotating our part-time employees right now as to when they're going to be in and when they can use one computer. So we've got 3 people using one computer right now. Of course, after the summer, it'll be 2 people, but they won't have 3 drops, so we should be set.
And what considerable savings, obviously, from having them come out again in the future in a year or so to do the same.
So just a little bit of strategic thinking, planning. Yeah, sorry.
I'm ignorant of this a little bit, but can't this be done through a router and have one drop service more than one computer?
Yeah, they're actually running it from our router. Are you talking about going wireless?
No, it's like I got a couple computers and I run them off the same router, and they're on different things at different times.
Was there, it was
Like
something with
my
the
parent,
IP thing, we couldn't share.
Sure. Well, the other issue becomes is that you have one workstation on this wall, one workstation on this wall, and you have a walkway. So it would be, you know, running a lot of cables through the roof, which would ultimately be going back to this.
Well, whatever's best.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yep. So. Any other questions, comment?
No.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the quote for 2 data drops not to exceed the quote provided.
Support.
Been motion and supported to add the 2 data drops with a not to exceed price of $602.05. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That motion carries. The next is request to use an alternate law firm, Grand, Lukow, and Miller. I was having some discussion with our current attorney on some topics, and he just said, you know, Mike, I'm really not that specialized in that. And he had recommended that we seek out an alternate firm. Our current rate that we're paying for legal services right now with our current is $150. This
155, isn't it? Or 150?
Yeah, I think it's $150. This one
I think it's 155.
is a specialized law firm in municipal law. They have a lot of experience, well-known, big reputation, and they're only $25 more. So we're not entering into any retainer agreement with them. They're just saying that we'll contract a price for you if you need us for any services.
Is this going to be at the recommendation of the existing attorney? When they can't, they will advise us to go here, or is this
Sure.
going to be at somebody's discretion to
Well,
go one way or the other? I mean, how does that work? Who determines where we go, who we talk to?
Well, it would be the employee committee, I think, would probably, because we're here, would probably make decisions on that. Usually we run everything through our primary attorney unless he says, seek somebody else. And he's done that. He's actually had to refer us to James Kiefer, who was a bond attorney, and he actually referred us one time to a cable attorney out of Grand Rapids. So I think this kind of closes the gap and provides the services that we need if we so need them.
So you're still looking at keeping our existing attorney on
Yes,
board?
absolutely.
We'll still have our legal counsel is who we're using. This is just if we need to seek more specialized service.
Now, is there even a motion needed to, I mean, is this going to be a vendor of the township? Or,
Anytime that we're going to spend any money with anything, I'd like to have the township board be aware of it and approve it. They will be a contractor of ours. We're not in a retainer agreement, but it's a service agreement, just saying, hey, they're going to provide this service, we sign it and agree for that fee. So, yeah, I think it does require a motion from the board.
I'll move that we have a service agreement with,
Alan Miller.
yes.
Okay. Do I have a support?
I will.
Okay. It's been motioned and supported to enter the agreement for a $175 rate with Grand Luke Cowan Miller. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We have no more new business. We have no miscellaneous business. Public remarks? Anybody have any comments or remarks?
Question, double check the date on that second Shannon Glen. That's 5 days.
Yes.
Very good.
We're in a tight schedule here so that we can get this all completed. Yeah.
All right.
Very long.
So we have no other business, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Support?
It's been motioned and supported to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
Cams.
Now,
Thing working?
Hey, Terry,
everybody running
the new
unopposed?
officers, when do
No
they start?
write-ins
Is it
made it on the
January
ballot?
1st?
November 15th,
Not-
right?
November 15th, right after
When,
the
No,
election?
there's
when
always
the
a
election
like
is
there's
done in
30-something.
November,
That's what I'm saying.
it
for the
becomes
November
effective.
ballot.
There's
Oh,
still a
is it the
possibility
20th?
that we could have
Or is it
write-ins
15th?
come
I don't know.
November.
I don't remember. It's shortly right after the election.
20th.
Well, they won't be on,
Could be.
nobody will be written on as of right now,
It's shortly after.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
somebody still could be written
Yeah,
in November.
no,
So as of right now,
yeah.
nobody's running opposed.
Correct.
It's gonna be the interesting election.
So,
Kind of cool to have your
I
name
have
on
a
a
question
ballot
for you.
presidents.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'll have a
that's
question
good.
for you after.
All right, Mike, this is turning.
How's your eye? It's your
Oh.
It's healing,
It's
You know, the funny thing is, it
string
wasn't my eye, it was
coming
my head.
Sorry that I did.
Oh, it's right.
I didn't feel like reaching over while people were sitting here. I'm like, that probably doesn't, looks like a mom.
Healing.
Mom fixing his shirt.
Notice it just because of.
Oh, it'll go with this guy
I
right
do,
here.
I need
You
somebody
see
to
right
say,
here, I got a funny
Yes,
wrinkle
yeah, I
here.
didn't even
That looks
notice
like a
that.
wrinkle now.
Well, and I think eventually
You were
that
so
went
good
over
about it.
well,
Good.
too.
I
I had to
did
have something
You ever see the
removed
game
from my
Cornhole?
forehead and the.
my buddy made
couple
me some
years ago,
boards
and
and
the
he left them
surgeon
raw.
said,
And so I put this
good, I
small
can get it right in the wrinkle of your forehead. I'm like,
Oh, that's
there you
And
go.
I stenciled
Oh,
it.
that one.
And then I went and got a bronze.
Knowledge
colored
wrinkles.
And now I can't even
Good night,
find where
Soren.
it
It doesn't
was.
do it justice.
Right.
And then I sprayed it with clear. And so
Cool.
those are mine.
Yep.
So is that just the game where you
Where you throw the bags in it into the, try to get in the hole, yeah.
Huh, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He made his own cornhole